Hey guys, I hope you've been well. I thought it might be fun to try something a little different today. On this channel, I like to read old ghost stories and true creepy encounters submitted to the internet via Reddit or old websites I've been diving into. But while looking for those, I've also come across some older websites that also have some strange articles on them about bizarre phenomenon or unexplainable happenings. One article I found recently was about kangaroos found in places that they shouldn't be, and it just got me thinking about a book I had when I was a kid. It was called Bizarre Phenomenon. I remember the stories in it: spontaneous combustion, fish falling from the sky. I also remember them showing pictures of frogs or toads found in rocks that were broken open. And I mean, as a kid, just looking at a picture of a toad in a rock, obviously I thought it was true. I don't really know if it is or not, but the story went that they found frogs just hibernating in rocks, and when they're broken open they would come back to life, or wake up, I guess. So I found a few articles that kind of gave me those vibes of what I might have read as a kid, and I thought it might be fun to share them with you now. Hopefully you'll find them interesting, and if not, then maybe you'll find them entertaining at least. Alright, let's get into them. So, as I mentioned, the first one I found that really piqued my interest was titled Kangaroos in the United States. And this was an article written by Cyrus? I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but it'll be on the screen. And it was posted back on the 5th of February, 2007. Just like the puma and panthers being spotted in Australia and Europe, kangaroos have also been seen in places not within their original habitats. Kangaroos have often been seen in the United States since the mid-1960s. A man had reported a kangaroo on his porch early one morning in Chicago on October 18th, 1974. Patrolmen Byrne and Shaggy were astonished to find a 5-foot kangaroo in a dark alley around 3:30 in the morning. Not knowing what else to do, Byrne tried to handcuff it. The animal was not going to go quietly though, and it started to scream. Shaggy then was kicked in the shins and the kangaroo escaped down the street. That was not the only sighting in Illinois. A couple of weeks later, on November 2nd, 2 separate groups of witnesses reported seeing a kangaroo almost at the exact same time. Within another couple of weeks, sightings occurred in Lansing, Illinois, and Carmel, Indiana. And then on November 15th, back in Chicago, a kangaroo was seen in a vacant lot. The witness said it was 5 feet tall and black all over, except for the stomach and face area, which were brown. The last known sighting took place on November 25th in Sheridan, Indiana, when a farmer, Donald Johnson, spotted a kangaroo on a deserted rural road. Johnson stated, "It was running on all 4 feet down the middle of the road. When it noticed Johnson, it leaped over the barbed wire fence and into the field." In Wisconsin, in 1978, a photograph was taken of a kangaroo. The picture was admittedly not very good, but clear enough to make out the creature. The kangaroo was first spotted in Waukesha on April 5th, 1978. There were other sightings in Pewaukee Township, Brookfield Township, and around the Waukesha area. Near Menominee Falls, 2 men had taken 2 pictures of a kangaroo, and was said that this creature could possibly have been an escapee from a private animal collection or zoo living in the wild. Out-of-place animals such as kangaroos are rarely captured, and they seem to disappear as mysteriously as they appear. It seems only a few people see them, and it's usually only from a distance. However, in May of 1979, a kangaroo seen in Nashua, New Hampshire was caught and found to be a wallaby that had escaped from a carnival that recently left town. Other sightings of kangaroos outside their habitat were also seen in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Ontario, Canada. There's also been a few reportings in France and on the northern border of Hungary. So, that last one, I always thought was an interesting subject, but, it can probably be explained away with escaped animals or, private collections accidentally getting loose and stuff like that. I do find it strange, though, how these animals are always found at a distance and rarely captured. If you found that a little hard to believe, however, you might not like this next one as much. This next article I found is about someone who sees Bigfoot a lot. It's titled, Utah Man Says He's Seen Bigfoot 9 Times Since 1968. It was posted all the way back in 1997 on June 7th on the webpage Desert News, which looks like it's a Utah-based daily newspaper or something like that. So, you've heard about animal magnetism. How about Bigfoot magnetism? Ron Mower, a 40-year-old construction worker, seems to attract Bigfoot. He claims to have seen the legendary ape-like creature 9 times in Utah between 1968 and 1990. At times, I think I've been singled out, Mower said, who will speak this weekend at the International Sasquatch Symposium in Vancouver, BC. Maybe I'm blessed to be able to have this happen. People think you're crazy, but there's been a lot of activity. Mower's closest encounter with one of the creatures, he said, was some 30 feet away and witnessed by his entire family of 6 on a remote highway. The encounter occurred on a winter evening in 1990 when the mowers suddenly stopped their truck at the top of Fairview Canyon, north of Orangeville, to avoid hitting something in the middle of the road. That something turned out to be Bigfoot. The creature stood there, 30 to 40 feet away, for 5 minutes, clearly in the vehicle's headlights, Mower said. Thousands of people across North America and other parts of the world have reported seeing tall, hairy bipeds roaming about the hinterlands. Stories have been handed down through the ages about a mysterious being known variously as Bigfoot or Sasquatch in North America, and as Yeti or Abominable Snowman in the Eastern Hemisphere. Bigfoot tracks were reported in western United States as long ago as 1810 by David Thompson, a surveyor and trader who spotted giant footprints near the Columbia River Gorge. But nearly 150 years passed before the legend became prominent in American culture. The creature generated headlines in 1967 when Roger Patterson took what is still the most well-known film footage of an apparent Bigfoot, a 1-minute segment taken in Northern California. More than 100 Utah and southern Idaho sightings have been documented since the 1930s, according to Bigfoot researcher Ryan Layton. But, he admits, the rest of the research community may not be aware of the creature's apparent presence here. Utah is becoming more and more known as one of the states that has the bulk of the sightings, Layton said. There's been thousands of actual sightings that cover Florida Everglades, the backwoods of Georgia, and all the way to Alabama, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Alaska, and the swamps of Louisiana and Texas. Many observations, footprints, hair, fecal samples and unearthly screams in the night have been attributed to Bigfoot, but no skulls or bones have ever been found, at least none generally accepted as belonging to Sasquatch. The creature has a reputation of being a stealthy and elusive traveler. Some tracks have seemed to disappear in mid-step, and some who chase Bigfoot believe there may be a link between the creature and UFOs. Jack Laprasitis, a Bigfoot researcher in Tucson, Arizona, has written a soon-to-be-published book entitled The Psychic Sasquatch, a UFO Connection. Laprasitis said he and others have communicated with Bigfoot telepathically and have watched the creatures, quote-unquote, dematerialize. Laprasitis said conventional Bigfoot investigators have not found the creature because they are limited in their belief that Bigfoot is simply a relic of hominid that never really became extinct. And that really may be true, Laprasitis said in a telephone interview. But in addition to that, Bigfoot may literally be, as I've discovered, a pair of physical, interdimensional native people that have told me and other people telepathically that they were brought here millions of years ago by their friends, the Star People. Mower definitely believes there's a supernatural aspect to Bigfoot, and that this mysterious being is more than some gorilla-like animal running loose in the wilderness. He also believes Bigfoot to be very intelligent. He, she, or it are very perceptive, he said. They know our intentions. Layton said the number of sightings Mower has reported is incredible, but feels Mower is more than just lucky. Layton believes Mower has been singled out by the creatures for some unknown reason. He also says he suspects the creatures may be telepathic. Much of the discussion, scheduled for the 5th Annual International Sasquatch Symposium, will explore the creature's possible connection with UFOs, other dimensions, and telepathic communication. John Cotton, Vice President of the Canadian Society of Questers, believes Bigfoot is from another reality, another dimension or parallel universe. They don't die here. They don't belong here, he said. The Sasquatch comes here because they are teachers of the shamans. Wherever you find shamans or native people, you will find Sasquatch. My title for them is Hairy Angels. They are purveyors of knowledge. Mower, Layton, Laprasitis, and Cotton will speak at a 3-day conference, which begins Friday and will end Sunday at Vancouver's Pacific Space Center. Mower will recount his 9 Bigfoot experiences in detail. All of his sightings, he says, have taken place in 2 basic areas. Just south of Kings Peak and the Manti La Salle Mountains, about 25 miles from his Orangeville home. While all 9 of the experiences have been startling for him, some were more frightening than others. He believes some Sasquatches radiate evil. Others just appear to be curious. If you see a Bigfoot with red eyes, Moore advises, it's best to stay away. Those are the ones he believes may have less than peaceful intentions. Moore's been armed with a rifle during most of his Bigfoot experiences, but he said he's never considered using it. The creatures haven't directly threatened him, he says. Moore is an avid fisherman and hunter, hobbies that have contributed to his many encounters. Still, he says, he doesn't find Bigfoot. They seem to find him when he's least expecting it. They choose the time for when you can see them. I've never really hunted for one. Cotton, who believes in reincarnation, said Moore may have been a shaman in his previous lifetime and has retained a connection with Bigfoot. Mower's not sure, but suspects there may be some kind of barrier that prevents the creature from being seen. It's a veil. When it opens, you'll see. Out of the blue, he'll be there, and just as quickly as he came, he'll be gone. The established science says that's because it doesn't exist. But there's an interdimensional aspect to Bigfoot, and it's not something that's hokey. It's the answer. As luck would have it, Mower has never had a camera with him during his 9 Bigfoot sightings, although he now carries one with him a lot more often. Maybe with a camera I'd never see him, he offered. Mower describes Bigfoot as very tall, 7 foot, and more slender than most artists' conceptions. They're black in color, sometimes with a hint of red, and they have a very human-like face, although it's thick with hair. Most of the creatures Mower has seen have looked back at him with what he calls a "what do you want" stare. And while they've watched his every move, Mower said they otherwise don't seem all that concerned with my presence. You parallel each other, he explained. When I'm with them, I want to learn more, not run or hide. For that bit of time, you're content with what you got. He said he's hunted bear, cougar, and other big game, but there's nothing like Bigfoot, nor the overwhelming body odor that accompanies them. Despite the fear associated with the sighting, Moore said the experiences always make him want to seek after the creature. I'm not afraid to go into the woods, he said. Moore hasn't seen a Sasquatch for 7 years now. He attributes the lapse to various circumstances. His wife, Diane, died in January, and Moore spent less time in the mountains during her long battle with cancer. Moore, however, believes the creature has been nearby on several occasions, and at least once came close to his house. In those instances, Mower's dog behaved the same way he did when the two encountered Bigfoot in the mountains. Has Bigfoot followed him home? Mower does think so, but isn't sure how. What's Mower's best advice for getting your own glimpse of Bigfoot? He recommends being very observant and listening to your gut in the woods. I believe some people may see Bigfoot and just not recognize him. They shrug it off, Mower said. I have one more article that I thought might fit well in this video, and this one also has to do with Bigfoot. We started with the out-of-place animals, the kangaroos, moved on towards a slightly more far-fetched topic, Bigfoot, dash in a little bit of interdimensional travel, but now let's go all in on the idea and talk about, is Bigfoot possibly an alien entity? I remember hearing a few stories about Bigfoot being psychic or have the ability to appear and disappear out of the blue. That maybe he was a ghost or something like that, and I always thought that was really interesting. I'd love to find some first-hand accounts somewhere of people experiencing such things. But yeah, for now, I guess we'll just talk about this article. Is Bigfoot possibly an alien entity? Perhaps the Bigfoot creatures are UFO pilots, landing on Earth for exploratory purposes, or, conceivably, higher-level ETs are leaving behind some specimens as guinea pigs to test our environments for long-term survival. This article was written originally by Dr. Franklin Rule. It goes on to say, rather than being the missing link between man and apes, Bigfoot may possibly be an alien entity. This intriguing possibility is derived from evidence in several solid UFO cases. The earliest clues date back to 1888, when cattlemen described an encounter with friendly Native Americans in Humboldt County, California. They led him to a cave where he saw a hefty humanoid creature covered in long, shiny black hair, with no neck, sitting cross-legged. One of the men told him 3 of these crazy bears had been cast out of a small moon that dropped from the sky and landed. The moon then ascended back into the air. So it's very likely these crazy bears were really Bigfoots, and the moon a spacecraft. Now, fast forward almost 100 years to 1973 to Miss Rifa Hayfield. She and her 13-year-old son were sleeping in a trailer in Cincinnati, Ohio. On the morning of October 21st, Rifa rose around 2:30 a.m. to quench her thirst and noticed strange lights in an adjoining parking lot. Looking out the window, her attention was drawn in particular to an inexplicable cone of light shaped like a huge bubble umbrella, about 7 feet in diameter. Nearby, she spotted a grayish ape-like creature with a large downward angled snout, no neck, and a sizable waist. Moving slowly, it then entered into the light. About 5 minutes later, both Ape Man and UFO disappeared. Another dramatic incident occurred a few days later in October 25th, 1973. A group of farmers in Fayette County, Pennsylvania, caught sight of a dome-shaped UFO that was brightly lit and about 100 feet in diameter. As locals drove towards it, they saw a pair of gargantuan creatures covered in thick, matted hair, luminescent green eyes, and long arms that dangled below their knees. One of the farmer's sons fired a gun at the creatures, one of which raised his right arm in the air. At that very moment, the UFO disappeared. Then the two Bigfoots escaped into the woods and were never seen again. Dairy farmer William Bozick of Frederick, Wisconsin, was returning from a co-op meeting about 10:30 p.m. on December 9th, 1974, when he nearly slammed into a globular UFO on the road in front of him, its bottom half enshrouded in fog. Inside the visible, transparent dome was a 6-foot-tall ape-like creature with reddish-brown fur covering its body except for its face, and distinctive pointed ears. It appeared to be operating a control panel. As Bozick passed by, the object suddenly arose and disappeared. In August 1976, after a series of UFO sightings around Rutland, British Columbia, Canada, several men and their children saw hairy ape-like creatures, 6 to 7 feet tall, roaming about the mountainside. They also found a clump of hair that was sent to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police for identification. Laboratory analysis confirmed it was primate hair, but it could not be matched to any known species on Earth. Perhaps the Bigfoot creatures are UFO pilots landing on Earth for exploratory purposes. Or, conceivably, higher-level ETs are leaving behind some specimens as guinea pigs to test our environment for long-term survival. Or, possibly, these Bigfoots are criminal entities being deposited on Earth as a form of cosmic deportation. So, what do you think? I've always been intrigued by the idea of out-of-place creatures or beings, and I never really thought of Bigfoot being anything more than a primate in the woods, but lately I've been seeing some stories about the more supernatural aspect of Bigfoot. I'm not sure if there's any truth or convincing arguments to be made on the subject, but I definitely find the idea very interesting. Hopefully you did too, and I didn't just waste 20-30 minutes of your life. I'd love to find some more resources on the paranormal side of these encounters. Find some more first-hand encounters from people that claim to have seen Bigfoot pop into their house in the middle of the night and then dematerialize. But yeah, definitely I'd love to hear what you think. If you found this entertaining at all, let me know. I'd love to cover more strange articles that I come across when looking for old stories on the internet. There seems to be no shortage of them when deep diving into the web archives. But yeah, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, feel free to give the video a like, maybe share it, maybe subscribe. If you didn't like it, feel free to dislike it, I don't mind. Yeah, that'll, I think we'll end it there for now. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good night. Bye. Bigfoot may literally be, as I discovered, a paraphysical interdimensional native, a paraphysical interdimensional traveler